What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 6 of my Texas Rangers Start Today series. Today we are going to end the year. We're going to go ahead and recap all of the stats, our record, everything, go over a brief summary of what I want to do for the offseason, and then we're just going to jump straight into the offseason as well. So let's go ahead and start with our record here. We finished the year 67-95, which is a lot better than what I expected. When you look at the start of our year, we were horrible. Obviously, this isn't great, but this is definitely better than what I expected. I would never expected us to get more than 60 wins, honestly. So I was very happy with that. We can go ahead and look at the monthly breakdown. As you can see here, April through June, we were horrible. July, we were a little better, closer to 500 for sure, 11-14. And then in August, we had our best month, 18-9. But then in September, we flipped that for a 9-18 record. We just couldn't keep the momentum going. It would have been really nice if we could have done another good month there and then just ended the year on a high note. We ended October then with a 4-4 record. We weren't great at really anything. Our best, overall rankings, anything outside of the top, that was inside the top 10, was stolen bases. We were first, mainly because we cheated the system a little bit, I guess. And then strikeouts was 5th, which is honestly surprising. We were pretty good at strikeouts. It's just everything else we were not good at on the pitching side. We'll go ahead and look at the pitching side first, I guess. Our starters were way more consistent at the end of the year. I was really happy. We basically have a rotation for next year already set, so we're not going to be looking too much at starters. We have Tyler Wells, who had a good year. He had a better year with Baltimore than with us, but he still was way more consistent than any other guy on our team. 4.48 ERA at the end of the year. I'm very happy with that still. Not amazing, but it's good enough to win us some games. And I think it's definitely good enough to be 500 next year. Then we go to Francis Martez. Pretty much the exact same situation, except he was with us to start the year. He definitely put us in a lot of situations to win games. He also blew some games for us, unfortunately, but I think he definitely has room to grow. He's only 26. He was our opening day starter this year, so hopefully he can continue to be better. Then we move on to our big acquisition in the offseason, or I don't even know if it was the offseason. I think it was the offseason. Blake Snell. He had a really, really good year for us, especially the end. At the beginning, obviously, he wasn't great. I'm pretty sure we had that in other episodes. But he ends the year with a 3.83 ERA. He had some really, really good games going to the 9th inning in a few of them. I was really, really impressed with him to end the year, especially when you look at his strikeout numbers, 248 over 188 innings. Really, really impressive stuff there. Hopefully he can keep that up going into next year. I'd be really, really very happy with that. Then we'll go ahead and look at Riley O'Brien. He's not going to be with us next year, so we won't look at him. Jack Leiter, he played 2 games for us to end the year. He went 6 innings, giving up 2 earned runs against the Mariners, I believe, and then 7 innings, giving up 2 earned runs against the Blue Jays, which was really impressive. 7 strikeouts in that game. He was really, really good to end the year. Hopefully that means he's good enough to come through and be a really good starter for us next year. He has 3.5-star potential, so he still has room to grow this offseason, hopefully. I was really impressed with that. Miles Mikolas got injured. He's out for 4 months. Hopefully he'll be back to start the year and be a part of our rotation. If not, that's when we're going to have to look at bringing in Riley O'Brien, or we also have Yadier Alvarez in AAA right now. He was amazing. He won Pitcher of the Month, Rookie of the Month, 1 month when he was on a tear, striking out everybody pretty much. He was amazing. But then he slumped, giving up 5 earned runs over the next 4 games. Every single game he's given up 5 earned runs pretty much. It was not good, so we had to send him back down. But he showed that he's definitely capable of being something in the majors, which is really exciting. So we have some guys that we can call up when we get injuries, or when we just need to give some guys some time off. That'll be really, really good next year. Hopefully the starting rotation is now figured out for next year. I'm really excited. The bullpen was a little bit more shaky than I would like, but we have a lot of promise, honestly. Jordan Sheffield filled in as the closer at the end of the year. He wasn't bad, 3.7 ERA. He had a lot of good games to end of the year, and I felt comfortable putting him in that closing role. I don't think that's where he should be. I think he's more of a setup guy than anything, hopefully next year. But he proved himself at the end of the year, and he definitely deserves a lot of praise for that. Wandy Peralta, though, he was really good to start at the start of his time with us, at least. And then he fell off towards the end, but I think he's still going to be good next year as a lefty specialist. Mark Evans was awful this year with us. I don't know if he needs more time in AAA. He did good in AAA. I'm not sure if he needs another season there or what, but he's just not been working out for us. Diego Castillo was really good. He was a really good pickup for us. 3.2 ERA, 28 strikeouts in 25 innings. He is hopefully going to be a setup guy for us, if not a closer. I'd prefer to get a more stable closer, but he might fit that role next year. We'll see. I was really impressed with him. Next, we move on to Darwinzon Hernandez. He was a pickup off of waivers in the postseason. Literally just a few days ago, we picked him up off of waivers, which I was really surprised about because he's young, he's already good, he has potential, he's having a good year with Boston, but they put him on waivers, so I definitely took the chance there to snatch him up. So hopefully he'll be a big piece for us next year. Brett Martin, he might be expandable now, especially with that high ERA. We have a lot of lefties. We have 2 lefties now, which is honestly all I need. Unless we get a closer that's a lefty, that's really good, but I'm not sure if that's even possible. So Brett Martin's probably not going to be on with us next year. Zach Birdie, we picked him up off of waivers from Baltimore. He didn't have a very good year with us, so we'll just skip over him. He might be back, we'll see. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time on him. Jonathan Hernandez, he was here for us at the beginning of the year. He might have even been a setup guy at the beginning, but he was a middle relief guy for us. He didn't come in 2 high leverage situations, and he did fine, 4.18 ERA. I was happy with that. That's about what I expect from him. So we'll just move on. Dylan Floro, I think his contract's up at the end of this year. We just gave him a little test run once we picked him up off of waivers from Atlanta. He had a good year with Atlanta. With us, not as great. He had some times when we would bring him in and he'd perform, but I don't think he's going to be back, especially. I think he wants $8 million over 3 years, or $8 million per year over 3 years. It's just a little too much for a 31-year-old relief pitcher who didn't prove it with us, I guess. And then Clay Holmes, he was really good. I really love Clay Holmes. He comes in when our starter needs help, and he does good most of the time. So I was really happy with him. He's a veteran presence, honestly, in this bullpen. Hopefully we can get more guys like that, but it was shaky a lot of the year. Definitely can be better. We need a closer. We need a legit closer that we know is the closer that'll definitely help the bullpen, because most games we had no idea who's going to come close for us. Jordan took over at the end of the year as our closer, but even then I didn't 100% believe that was going to be a shutdown inning, which is what I would like out of the closer. So we'll see what we can do in the offseason to get a closer. But we have a lot of potential here, a lot of guys that definitely can be good. We'll go ahead and look at the lineup now. And we're going to skip over a lot of guys and focus mainly, let's start with the main 3 guys. We have Carlos Correa, Giancarlo Stanton, and Young-Ho Lee. Those are our 3 guys. They're honestly all All-Stars. I'm not sure if they all made it this year, but they definitely deserved it, especially when you look at them compared to the rest of our rosters. They're the only ones with positive OPS pluses. Young-Ho Lee, 118, Giancarlo Stanton, 117, and then Carlos Correa, 116. Carlos Correa was very consistent throughout the year. Obviously, to start the year, he was hitting like 350 in that first month or 2, and then that fell off a little bit. He did have a good end of the year, though. I believe he was on a hot streak maybe a week ago. He finished with 27 home runs, 93 RBIs, 293 average, 351 on base, and then already went over the OPS plus. Giancarlo Stanton, I'm pretty sure he won the home run crown and RBI. I'm pretty sure he led the league in that. 51 home runs, 134 RBIs. I was super impressed with him at the end of the year. He was hitting so many home runs at the end there. It was very, very impressive, but he only hit 237 with a 311 on base. But I guess that's what you give up when you get a guy like Stanton, is you don't really go for the average or even the on base to an extent, but you get the home runs, which is very, very helpful for us. So I was very happy with that. Then Young-Ho Lee, 309 average, 367 on base, 17 home runs, 73 RBIs. I was very impressed with him. I did not expect it to be that good of a year for his first season with us. I'm pretty sure this is his rookie year as well. He was very, very impressive. He's only 24. I'm very excited that we have him locked up for the next 5 years. He almost led our team in WAR. Carlos Correa led the team in WAR. And then Stanton wasn't even third in WAR. We actually had Billy Hamilton be the 3rd highest in WAR, and that's because of the 87 stolen bases here, but we'll get to that in a second. I wanted to go over our lineup real fast. Those 3 guys, this is the order they're going to be in next year, hopefully. Carlos Correa, Young-Ho Lee, and then Stanton batting in that 4 hole. Those are going to be our 2 through 4 hitters. I'm very, very happy with what they produced this year. And then we're going to go ahead and jump to Jorge Mateo next at second base. He's probably going to be there. Whether it's in center or second base, he's going to be probably leading off next year. And if he's not leading off because we signed someone else to lead off, then he's going to bat in that 9 hole, and I'm really happy with that because he also had a lot of stolen bases this year. 58, caught stealing 18 times. Not a great ratio there, but it's definitely very, very good that he stole 58 bases for us. 2.1 WAR, only 0.1 behind Stanton. So I was really happy with him. His OPS plus, probably since we brought him back from the minors, is probably closer to 100, just because he had that really bad start to the year, and that's why we sent him to AAA. And then he came back up, and he performed a lot better. The 258 average is probably a little bit under what he would have probably ended I would say 268 maybe is closer to what he probably should have finished with. Same with the on base, probably should be a little bit higher. But he is a triple machine, double machine. He can get around the base paths, which is what I like. I like our leadoff guy to get in the scoring position right off the jump. That'd be really, really good for us. And he can hit some home runs too. 11 home runs is nothing really too bad when you consider what we could have had if we had Billy Hamilton leading off, who hit 1 home run. So I'm happy with him being our leadoff guy next year. I'd be content with him being the leadoff guy. We don't need to sign anybody for that position. Then we have Josh Young. He wasn't as good as I thought he would be, especially with those first few, maybe it was a month or two. He was hitting in the 270s, 290s. He was not hitting for power, but he was definitely getting on base, which is what I liked. So that's why that OPS plus is 77 right now. I'm hoping he can just be average next year. That'd be really good for us. And if he is, then that's third base figured out. I would love it if our 1 through 6 could basically be this, minus Anthony Rizzo, who wasn't bad for us, but he's not going to stick with us. He's a captain. That's why we brought him in. We're going to hopefully find a different first baseman, preferably a lefty hitting first baseman that can produce a lot more than he did. He'd never really kept up the hot streak that he was on at one point. He was hitting in 300s for us once we traded for him, but he just couldn't keep it up. So we're going to have to find someone else to hit in that 5 hole probably. And then we won't even go over too much of the rest of the guys. Billy Hamilton stole a lot of bases for us. That was basically the cheat we had. He just stole he stole second and third, and that was really it. He just did that almost every time he got on base, and that's how he got so many stolen bases. We just needed as many runs as we can get, so that's what basically we did for most of the year. Johan Camargo is going to be here next year. He was decent with us. He's very much a utility guy for us, so I'm happy with that. Alex Avila is not going to be here. We brought him in as another catching option. He was a lefty, so I decided we're going to give him a try. He didn't work. Leote, he might get traded this offseason. He hasn't been good. I definitely would love it if he could be good because he's a switch-hitting center fielder that's young. Very hard to find good players like that, but he just doesn't get on base enough. Lan Feng Jen, he stayed with us for most of the year. Don't know if that's how I'm pronouncing his name right, but he does really good against lefty pitchers, so that's why he stayed with us. He can play second base, which is, we were switching Jorge between center and second, so he'd come in to play second when we needed a guy to play second. And he has some home run power, 5 home runs, but nothing consistent really. We'll see if he's with us next year. Worst case, he's in AAA again, and I'm fine with that. He's still 22. He still has some potential. So there's not too much really to go over with that. Next, we're going to go ahead and look at contracts expiring. We only have a few that are important. Anthony Rizzo, probably not going to bring him back. Same with Dylan Floro. They both, they provided something for us, but just not enough to re-sign them for what they want. Marcus Wilson is someone, he was filling in for Benintendi for most of the time at left field when he was injured, and he definitely produced really, really good at one point. He was killing it, batting 300 plus. He was really good, but then, he had that cold streak. We sent him down, and I just don't know if we're going to bring him back. He has a lot of potential still, but I just don't think it's going to be with us probably. He still had a really high OPS plus. If you look at this, 133 over 17 games, 4 home runs, 8 RBIs. But I just don't know if it's worth it to bring him back, especially on a major league deal where we don't know if we have the roster spots even. And then no one else really down here. I don't think any of these guys are important. Roberto Perez, we'll go over him real fast because he was on our roster. as our second catcher. Probably not going to bring him back. We already have Sandy as our second catcher. We're going to try and bring in another catcher. That's closer and catcher are definitely our main focuses this offseason. We hopefully will have some money to work with. If not, we have a lot of prospects that are definitely tradable at this point. So we'll see. We're going to go ahead, and I think there's one game left in the World Series. We're going to go ahead and simulate that, and then I'll catch up with you guys when we get all the offseason notifications and messages, and we'll go over that, and then we'll jump straight into the offseason. All right, here we are. We have our new messages, but first we have a couple old messages that I wanted to go over. Nathan Eovaldi signs a big contract with Boston, $22 million a year over 5 years. That's a crazy deal for a 32-year-old, but good for him, I guess. Nick Birdie, I wanted to go over that. He has a setback on his injury. He's going to be out for 15 months now, which I'll show you is going to affect whether or not we bring him back in arbitration. We're going to not bring him back, but we'll go over arbitration just a little bit. The White Sox won the World Series against the Dodgers, 4-3. That was probably a good series if, we watched it, but fortunately we didn't. So congratulations to the White Sox. Benintendi, we have his option now. We're going to go ahead and void the last year of his contract. We're not going to bring him back. And we have our owner goals. He was happy with most of it. The record he wasn't happy with. Everything else, he was happy with, or we just haven't gotten to the time when that's done. Next year's goals, it looks like it's going to be don't suck completely again. Increase attendance, which hopefully we'll be able to do. Bring in more drafted players, keep building up the team. Same things. We'll see what other goals he wants us to achieve throughout the year later on. Then we have our new budget. I'm not sure if this is more money or if it's the same amount. I think 110 was roughly what we had last time. We'll go ahead and look at the front office. We'll see. Yeah, it looks like it's roughly what I expected it to be. It might even be probably the exact same as what it was before. So we have a little bit of money to work with. And we'll see how high we can get that based off of some other stuff. Then we actually have our hitting coach leaves. I just called him up from, I believe, it might have been one of our single A teams. He was looking like he was going to be good. He has excellent hitting, teaching ability. I just wanted to bring someone up from within, and that's why I was looking through our entire personnel from all of our different levels. So I brought him to be our hitting coach, and he leaves right away, which is unfortunate because now we're going to have to go hire a hitting coach. Maybe there'll be someone good, but let's get into what is really exciting. Our farm system is incredible. We're first. I think we're miles ahead of everyone else. We have the first overall prospect, the 7th, 19th, 22nd, and 82nd. Drew Jones is 22nd. Jack Leiter's 7th. And then Jose Madrigal is first. I'm really excited for when he's going to be, ready to get called up. I'm super excited for that. He looks like he's going to be really good for us, especially at third base. That's always a position where we could always use a good bat. So hopefully they all develop. We should have 3 of these guys, though, being on the Major League roster this year, and Jack Leiter, Young Ho Lee, and Josh Young. But besides that, we have a lot of prospects still that are definitely able to come up and be helpful for us. Then we have the Cubs GM getting fired. At least it wasn't us. That's always good. Next, we'll look at salary arbitration before we go ahead and simulate some more into the offseason. We have a ton of guys here. We have a ton of decisions to make, but none of them are too hard, I guess. Johan, we're going to offer him this. Hopefully we can get him for that. Same with Francis Martez. These are high amounts, $4.5 million and $2.5 million respectively. Everything else is around the $1 million mark, which I'm fine with. Hopefully none of it's more than 1.5. We would love to have all these guys back for these prices. Francis Martez especially, with how high his is. We can't really afford it to be that much higher. Johan is also a little bit high at 2.5, but hopefully they accept what we're giving him, and that's that. Then we go ahead and we have a few guys in the minor leagues that are, expiring. We offered everyone we could, minor league contracts to come back. Specifically, Adonis Medina. He was someone that I definitely was potentially going to call up to be on the Major League roster in that starting pitching role when we were just rotating guys in that 5th spot. We didn't ever get to him, but he's definitely someone I'd like to bring back. He's definitely got a spot in the spring training roster. If we can bring him back on a minor league deal, that'd be really good. But we're gonna be losing Marcus Wilson, Jonah Heim, Wes Benjamin, Berto Perez. James Jones was a big guy at the beginning for me with his. He had really good speed, but he's gonna be gone now at 34 years old. No one else too big here. But that's going to be it. We're going to go ahead and simulate probably to awards and arbitration, and that's when I'll be back. Alright, here we are after arbitration hearings and all the awards are decided. First, we do have all of those guys signing minor league contracts with us, which is very good. We have Curtis Terry, Dennis Santana, Melvin Navoa, Adonis Medina, as all guys. I'm not even sure how to pronounce this dude's name, but we bring him in on a minor league contract, so we get them all back. Now we can jump to awards. Right here we have the Gold Glove pretty much. Young Ho Lee is the only guy that wins it for us. Lots of other guys from Tampa Bay especially win Gold Gloves, that's cool that they all got it. Here's the NL Gold Glove winners. You can look at that. Then we have AL relievers. None of our guys are here, unfortunately. You can take a look at that. Same with the NL. Take a look at that. Then we have Platinum Stick Award winners. Stanton's the only one that wins it for us. He definitely deserves that in that DH role. He was really, really good for us. But no one else wins it. Here's the NL ones. Obviously, none of our guys win that. And then we have, right in the midst of all the awards, we have a discovery. I've never seen this before in this game, but our scout came with us and said there was an interesting independent league player discovered, Clint Hayes. We already went ahead and offered him a contract. His bat looks amazing. The gap power looks good. Contacts look, especially if he can reach his potential, it's going to be really good. Then home run power looks good. Avoiding Ks looks good. Eye is fine. It can definitely get to where, it's at 50 if his potential gets reached. And he can play some first base, which is exciting. That might be our first baseman this year if he turns out to be what I want him to be. Worst case, we put him in left or right field. We can always use an outfielder, so that's exciting. Next, we'll move back to awards. We have the top rookie. Unfortunately, Young Ho Lee didn't win it. He definitely should have. I mean, you can just take a look at the stats here. 273 average, 334 on base, and 22 home runs versus 309 average, 367 on base, and 17 home runs. Just the power was the difference, I guess. Maybe the OPS plus was high for him. 114. I'm pretty sure Young Ho Lee was at 118, actually. So, yeah, that's not even the, he wins that one. So that's really weird that Bobby Witt Jr. wins it over Young Ho Lee. I think he definitely deserved it. He had an amazing year. He should have been Rookie of the Year. But we move on. Not a big deal. Here's the National League. Then we go to Manager of the Year. Obviously, that's not going to be us. It's the Chicago manager. And then Los Angeles Dodgers manager wins it in the National League. Then we have Cy Young. This is what shocked me. I did not expect Blake Snell to get 11 points in the voting and come, I think that's 6th. I was really surprised with that, but I mean that end of the year really definitely made him get higher in the voting for sure. He passed Max Scherzer. So that's pretty exciting that he finished top 7 at least in Cy Young voting. That's always good. Here's the National League though. Then we move on to MVP, where we do have someone getting some votes. Giancarlo Stanton gets 33 points in this voting. Maybe that's top 12 or something. I'm not sure. But he got some votes, which is exciting. Hopefully next year we have more votes. That'd be really good. It means we're winning more. He's producing more. Here's the National League. Trey Turner wins it. Here's all the other vote getters here. And then we have salary arbitration next. It did not go the way we wanted. Francis Martez is going to get almost $7 million. We were looking for $4.5 million, which is really unfortunate. Then we move on to a lot of our relievers got exactly what we offered them. Julian Merriweather got it. Jonathan Hernandez got what we offered him. Johan, though, $3.2 million instead of $2.5 million. Isn't as bad as Francis Martez's arbitration, but still not great. $700,000 can be a big difference sometimes. Jorge Mateo, we also lose that. We have to give him $800,000 more than what we wanted. Brett Martin, we get what we offered him. Darwin Hernandez, we actually have to pay him around $600,000 more than what we offered him, which is not a big deal, but like I said, a lot of these they add up. It's probably a difference of $5 to $6 million in total, which is not great. And then the rest of these guys get exactly what we offered, which is good. Now we just have to go into the offseason. We'll see how much money we have now. That puts us around $6 million. We're going to have to see what we can do with that. There's not really many moves we can make to help improve our salary situation. We'll see if there is anything I can do. Maybe we could bump down some of the player development budget, scouting budget, draft budget, all those things. We may bump him down and see what we can work with. I'll jump to you guys when we have a solution or when we're making a move or anything exciting happens. You know how this works. I'll see you guys then. Alright, so here we are. We're not very far at all into the off season, but I've already come up with sort of a plan of what we're going to do and specifics into that. Starting with a trade that I want to make. We're going to go ahead and jump to it right here. It's with the Royals. This is what it's looking like. We're going to go ahead and try and trade for Salvador Perez. We're going to go ahead and also try and get them to pay for 15% of his contract, which is roughly $3 million. Gets it down to roughly $17 a year, which is a lot more affordable, and it leaves us with $11 million left over. As of right now, we're going to try and increase that just a little bit more, and we're going to go ahead and try and sign a few other guys that I'm going to get to in a second, but the guys we're going to be giving up in this trade, not too many guys, only 3 guys in this one. Main guy being Maximo Acosta. I know he's a big prospect in real life for the Texas Rangers, but for us, I think we have better guys. I think we are definitely able to get rid of him. I don't think he's going to help us very soon, so I'm fine with getting rid of him to get a guy that will help us soon, especially at a position where we really need help. And then the other guys, we're giving up Vince Arobo. We've tried him as a reliever. He's already 27, almost 28. I don't think he's going to fit with us. He can definitely be a decent major league piece for someone, but we have multiple guys in the minors that can be relievers for us, so we're going to go ahead and trade him away here. And then Ryan Jensen ends the trio of guys we're trading away. He looks like he's going to be a decent prospect, but we have a rotation set up. He's already 25. I think it's just better to get rid of him, especially when it comes to bringing in someone like Salvador Perez. Now I'm going to go ahead and wait on this trade for a little bit. I want to show you guys first the guys we want to bring in. Obviously, we have that first guy that I talked about that our scout found, Clint Hayes. He's going to hopefully play first base for us if we can sign him. He looks really good. I'm hoping he can play good first base. We'll see what we can do. If not, then we'll work something else out. But for now, hopefully he's going to play first base for us. And then we have Edwin Diaz. He's going to hopefully be our closer. We offer him a 4-year deal with $50 million over those 4 years. Now, that sounds not so great, but the deal we actually offered him, when you look at the specifics, is a lot better. I don't think it'll actually show the breakdown, but it's a 4-year deal. Obviously, the last 2 years are team options, which is a thing I love to do. And those 2 years are worth $15 million, and then the first 2 years are only worth $10 million. So, guaranteed money, it's only a 2-year, $20 million deal. Full time, if we accept all the team options, then it's a 4-year, $50 million. So it's very team-friendly, and I think it's going to be a very, very good fit for us. I'm going to go ahead and take some time to think about this Perez trade, see if it's the right move, and I'll be back whenever I decide whether or not we're going to actually pull the trigger on it, and hopefully it leads to good things. Alright, here we are a few days later. I finally made some decisions on some moves. I changed the plan just a little bit. I changed a little bit of things around. First, we're going to start with the offense, though, starting with the 4 positions we need to fill this offseason. Starting with center field, though, that's going to be filled with in-house players. We have 6 guys that I'm picking between still. They're going to fight for it in spring training probably. And then that will basically decide who's our starting center fielder. Billy Hamilton's going to be on the roster no matter what, but it's whether or not he's the starter, whether or not someone can beat him out. I definitely would prefer him to be off of the bench as a pinch runner potentially in late innings rather than start for us and not have that option there. But if we need him to be a starter, he can definitely be a starter, and I'm more than happy to do that. Then we move over to left field. I think that's going to be filled by a free agent signing in Clint Hayes. Our scout found him. We were going to put him at first base. Earlier in the episode I said that, but I think I'm just going to keep him where he is at right now, and that's left field. There's no options really on our roster. There's a couple, but I think he definitely will be a lot better than the options we have from inside our club right now. Then we move on to first base. I found a new first base option in free agency. It is Lewin Diaz. He looks like he's going to have a really good bat. He hasn't really been to the majors since 2021, it looks like, and then he wasn't good. But in AAA, he looked pretty decent, 126 OPS plus, 296 average, 355 on base, 16 home runs, 66 RBIs, WRC plus, 126, all positive things at AAA. That's the highest level of the minors. And he's a lefty, which is something we need in our lineup. We need more lefty bats. especially that power that could be huge for us. He still has some potential. I don't see anything negative about him. His bat looks good, so we offered him a contract. I believe it was $3 million the first year, and then we did what I love to do with the 2 team options after that of $5 and $6 million. So we have that as our first base option right now, and then obviously we still have Edwin Diaz. We're still offering him that contract. Clint Hayes, we have his contract right here. Those are only 2 guys. Those are only 3 guys we've offered contracts to, and then we move on to catcher. That's the big question mark of this offseason is how do we fill the catching position? And this is how I decided we're going to fill the catching position. I'm hoping this move allows us to have enough money left over for all of our signings. I sort of tinkered with it a little bit more. We added some more guys to get in order to get them to pay for more of his contract. So now we're only having to pay around $13 million instead of $17 million. Is the $4 million really worth it? Probably not, but he is an older player, so I'd rather not be paying him, $22 million or however much more when he's 35 if he doesn't work out for us. It's a huge gamble considering the guys we're giving up. We're giving up 2 really, really good prospects that I'm not excited to get rid of, but I think we need to in order to get a very good catcher and potentially game changer for us. But we're giving up the main 2 prospects, Sherton, Apostle here. I don't actually think his bat's ever going to get that good, but I think he can definitely be a solid major league first baseman for someone. Apparently the Royals think so too. And then the main one I'm really, really upset with getting rid of is Maximo Acosta. Yes, we have Carlos Correa for the foreseeable future, but I think he's going to be a really good shortstop. He has every single rating that you would want if he reaches his full potential, obviously. He already has the gap power to be a major league shortstop for sure. He has the speed, the base running, the defense is decent, and he's putting up numbers. Obviously, this is very, very low minor league baseball, but he's putting up numbers down there. You can't really ask much more from him. I think he's going to be something good, but we have to give him up in order to get this trade done. That was the main guy they wanted in this deal. And then we give up a couple other guys, 2 relievers that are really just depth relievers for us, Zach Birdie and Vince. Right here, they're just not anything that's really going to turn the table for us. They're more depth than, pieces that I'm actually going to use out of the bullpen on a consistent basis. And then we also have a left field prospect that I wasn't bothered giving up. He's 19, which is sort of worrisome just because of how young he is, but I don't see the potential in him. Nothing really says that he's going to be anything that great. Hopefully that doesn't bite us in the butt later, but this is the deal I'm going to go with. Salvador Perez, 35% of his contract is going to get paid by the Royals. We're going to go ahead and complete this deal. And then that actually takes us to the perfect screen that we need to go to next, and that is for another trade we made for a setup guy that I think is going to do a little bit better consistently, I guess, than anybody else on our roster as a setup guy, and that's Raisel Iglesias. We get him from the Astros in exchange for AJ Alexy and Eli White, both guys that I'm not too worried about giving up. Alexy, he was sort of interesting to me. He throws hard, but I just don't see his stuff, movement, or control ever getting to where it needs to be for the major league level. And we also have some other prospects that are just better than him. And Eli White, I'm never going to use him. He's just sitting away in our minor league system right now. And Raisel was on the trading block. We could get them to pay, I believe, 100% of his contract and $1 million in cash. And we basically just take him from them. He's a really good pitcher. Last year, it wasn't dominant, but it was good. 3.89 ERA. A FIP was sort of high, unfortunately, but definitely better than league average at least. He struck out a good amount of batters. I think he's going to do good as a setup guy for us. I don't really see any reason that we wouldn't try this trade. He's free. We're not giving him anything too great, and we get free cash, which is always good. Here we are on January 12th now. We've went past the winter meetings already, and we have a bunch of messages right now of trades, signings, everything. We're going to go ahead and just start at the bottom and work our way up. First, DeGrom signs with the Twins, which is a little surprising that that's the team he signs for. I would expect the Dodgers, Yankees, even staying with the Mets, but he goes to the Twins. Huge deal there. Lorenzo Cain signs with the Mets. Luis Severino signs with the Angels. Manuel Margot signs with the Phillies. And then we have sort of a stretch of big prospects getting moved. First, for Pablo Lopez, they give up Marcelo Meyer, which is very interesting that they would give up such a big prospect, but I guess they're trying to win. They want a better starting pitcher, and Pablo Lopez is the starting pitcher to go for in this market. I even considered going for him, but clearly I would not have given up as much as they did in giving up Marcelo Meyer, but he is amazing, so that's going to be a good trade, as assuming he can pitch like he did in Miami those last 2 years. That's going to be a good trade regardless. Then we have our next one. Jason Dominguez gets moved to the Orioles for Cedric Mullins, which is huge. I don't know if that's too much. I don't know if it's not enough. We'll see. But he has big time potential. And Cedric Mullins is going to help the Yankees out right away, especially with that last year he had. If he can keep that up, then they definitely got a star in this trade. Then we have, sort of surprising, JD Martinez signs with the Yankees, goes from Boston to New York. Sort of, he might get some hate for that, but, he signs a deal. He's getting older. 1 year, $7.5 million. He's just trying to get paid, I guess. Then we have the Yankees making another move, signing Devers to a big contract, $25 a year over 8 years. Huge deal there, almost $200 million, I believe. It's over $200 million probably. And that's a huge deal. He honestly deserves it, though, after last year. 38 home runs, 123 RBIs, and he had the average to go with it at 280. He deserves all that money. Then we move on to another trade involving a prospect, Austin Martin getting traded to the Mariners for J.P. Crawford, of all guys. They give up a lot here in this trade. Here's some of the other prospects overall and potential. I definitely would not have made this trade. J.P. Crawford just isn't that big of a game changer that I would want to trade for him. But, I guess the Twins are trying to win. They get DeGrom. They get J.P. Crawford. They're just trying to get by, I guess. I don't know. Then we have another big trade here. The Phillies go out and get themselves a shortstop to start, and they also give up a couple of guys, mainly Bailey Falter here. He is the number 19 prospect right now. He's only 25. He doesn't actually look anything that impressive, but 4.16 ERA, a FIP at 3.94. That's pretty good. He doesn't walk a lot of guys, it looks like. So maybe they see the potential in him. I'm not sure. But it's a deal. It's a big deal that gets done. Lots of prospects getting traded. And then this is just an interesting trade. The Twins go out and get another guy in Gleyber Torres. They're really stacking up this year to try and make it to the playoffs in the World Series. Then we move on. We have Jordan Hicks getting traded to the Angels. The Angels go out and get even more bullpen help, which is definitely something they should do. He had a good year last year, 2.59 ERA in 62 innings, 34 saves. He had a good year. They go out and get him. Then we have the Rule 5 draft. We lost two of our guys, JT Brubaker and Adonis Medina. They're not anybody too big. Adonis Medina, we brought back in a minor league deal in the offseason. He's a decent guy. He still has a lot of room to get better, but he's solid right now. I think he's going to play for the Pirates for sure. They definitely could use him with the lacking of talent that they have. And then JT Brubaker, I was fine with him going. I never really saw him being too big of a piece. He hit 7.07 ERA and 3 starts for us last year. We have better guys that I would rather use, so I wasn't too worried about that. Then we have another trade. Boston goes out and gets Scott Barlow. He was actually pretty good last year for Kansas City, 3.49 ERA. The year before that, 2.21 in a significant amount of innings in a relief role. So that's a good deal for them. Then we have Mike Zunino signing $14 million a year over 6 years with Boston. That's a huge deal for a 31-year-old. He's going to be 37 by the time it ends. So that's a little surprising, especially at that high of an amount. But I guess Boston's just trying to make up for anything they lost, and they're trying to compete with the Yankees and the Twins. So I guess I'm not really sure why they would go out and spend that much on an old catcher who really isn't that good. 36 home runs and then a 191 average. I'm not sure if it's worth it, but to them it is. Then we have Dylan Floro, one of our relief pitchers from last year signed a deal, $3.5 million over 1 year with the Cardinals. I probably would have brought him back on that deal too, but I didn't know he was thinking that little, or maybe he just didn't want to sign with us for that little. Who knows? But he's gone to the Cardinals. Then we have Carlos Rodon signing with the Astros for a big deal, 7-year, $100 million. Good for him, getting paid. 30 years old. He's going to be another 37-year-old getting a lot of money. Not a signing I would make, but they make the signing. Clevenger signs with the Dodgers, just more talent that they get. Then we have our signings that I'm going to go over real fast. We have Edwin Diaz signing with us to the deal I showed you guys. And then we also had Clint Hayes signing with us as well earlier. And then we also have Lewin Diaz signing as well. I'm going to go over the last 2 moves that happened before I jump into what we're going to do now. Adam Frazier signs with the Mariners, and Luis Castillo signs with the Phillies. But let's see where that puts us now. This is what our lineup's going to look like. Center fielder is going to play or bat in that 9th hole. Regardless of who it is, we're still going to figure out who it is. But this is what our lineup's going to look like opening day, more than likely. This is what it's going to look like. You know, I definitely envisioned a similar thing to this. We moved Josh from 6 to 7 in order to get the lefty bat in a little bit sooner in the lineup. Hopefully that works out. I'm really excited for our new signings. You know, none of them are really the top 4 guys in the lineup, so that's good. They don't put a lot of pressure on anybody. Salvador Perez definitely has the most pressure of anybody, but you know, our catchers were horrible last year, so he could just hit slightly above average, and we would be amazed with that. So I'm definitely fine with that. And then we have our pitching. We have our closer and our setup guy now. Our starters are staying the same with Jack Leiter, hopefully being able to stick at that 5 spot. And then we have a ton of relief options to go through. That's going to get decided in spring training, and from now until opening day, we'll see. We might make one more move in the bullpen if someone becomes available that is just cheap enough to where we can't say no. But for now, this is what our lineup's going to look. This is what our roster is going to look like. And I'll see you guys probably when we get a lot closer to opening day. I'm probably just going to simulate a lot of this offseason. If we make any moves, then I'll show you guys, but I'll probably see you closer to opening day. Here we are now, March 2nd, the beginning of spring training. This is going to be the end of the episode, but first we have a ton of huge moves to go over to really end it on a high note. First, we're going to go over some other messages. Here's the Hall of Fame voting results. No one gets inducted this year. David Ortiz was close, but not close enough. Here's the rest of the guys if you want to look at that. Then we have St. Louis signing Shohei Ohtani to a $106 million deal. Big contract. They go out and get a huge star for them. We re-signed Clay Holmes to an extension because I think he deserves it, and it was only 1.4 million, something like that for each year for 2 years. I thought we should lock him up for that price in case he has a good year. He's going to be solid no matter what for us. I really like having him on the team. Then we have Xander Bogaerts signing with the Colorado Rockies for a big contract worth $18 million a year over 6 years. That's hopefully going to be a good signing for them. They need to get back and get competitive, and that's definitely how you start. Then we have some bad news. Our owner knocks our budget $4 million down. Luckily, it didn't affect us too much, but that's unfortunate that he didn't just keep it where it's at. And then we have 2 moves. We signed Jackie Bradley Jr. and Jose Abreu to minor league deals with major league options. They're mainly just signing with us for spring training so I can see what they do for us, how they might help us. Jackie Bradley could be an option on the roster, same with Jose Abreu. They both are good leaders. I believe Jackie Bradley might have the captain trait. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure, though, that Jose Abreu does. I'm almost positive on that. And then we have another move right here, Buster Posey signing with the Tigers, $51 million over 3 years. That's a good deal for them. He's still good. He is 35, though, which is a little scary, but they take the risk on him, and hopefully it pays off for them. Then we have Seth Lugo, one of our former relief guys as well. He didn't stay with us through the entirety of last year, but he did pitch for us some. He signs a $2 million deal with the Giants for 1 year. And he had a good year with the Yankees once we traded him, so I definitely thought about bringing him back, but I didn't want to add more relievers to the mix when we already have plenty. Then we have Max Stasey signing with the Colorado Rockies, so they go out and get 2 guys now, real good into their offseason as well. Then we have a big deal for us, trade-wise, we go out and we get Mitch White from the Dodgers and $10 million in cash for Leote. Mitch White looks huge, 3.22 ERA over 81 innings last year, 101 strikeouts, and he is 28, and he has good overall, good stuff, good movement, good control. He has a good three-pitch combination here. He throws relatively hard. I don't see anything wrong with this guy. I don't know why they were so eager to get rid of him and $10 million in cash. But they were also offering Gavin Lux for Leote, so maybe they just really like him. Who knows? Hopefully he doesn't have an amazing year next year and prove us wrong, but I think this is going to be a great deal. We get a good middle relief guy for us that can hopefully eat some innings, and then we get $10 million in cash, which is huge for this next deal because we went out and we signed Byron Buxton. I wasn't going to sign a center fielder. I was just going to get the guys we had, and I was really happy with that, but then he was sitting there in free agency not too long ago, so I had to pull the trigger because this contract, if he gets back to what we know he can be, this contract's going to be amazing. $8 million for this year, $10 million next year, and then team option for $12 million in 2025, and then in 2026, if we accept that team option in 2025, then he has the next year a player option for $12 million as well. I think even if this goes all 4 years, if he does what he did last year even, it might not be a horrible deal. The average in the on-base, though, really, really low. The strikeout percentage was high. But he had 27 home runs, 88 RBIs. If he can mix in 2021 and 2022 seasons together, he is easily an MVP candidate. And I think that's definitely what he could be for us. He's going to bat leadoff for us. I'll show you guys the lineup that we're going to be running for at least now. Hopefully it stays like this. Hopefully we don't move too much around. But it's going to be Byron Buxton, Carlos Correa, Young-Ho Lee, Giancarlo Stanton, Salvador Perez, Lewin Diaz, Josh Young, Clint Hayes, and then Jorge Mateo moves from the leadoff spot to the 9-hole, which I actually definitely like having someone like him batting so far down the order. It definitely helps me with just having production at such a late part of the lineup. And then our pitching, it's going to be what it was all offseason. We didn't make any moves to the starting pitching at least. Blake Snell, Tyler Wells, Francis Martez, Miles Mikolas, and Jack Leiter is going to be making his first full season, hopefully. And then we have our bullpen, which got a big uplift, I would say, in talent. We got Edwin Diaz, Raisel Iglesias signing with us. And then we also have Darwin Hernandez, who we claimed off of waivers at the end of last season. And then we also add in Mitch White, who hopefully will be a huge piece for us. I'm really excited to see how our new bullpen works, our new lineup works. It's going to be a super exciting start to next year, hopefully. Hopefully we get off to a better start than we did last year. There's a lot of expectations this year with all the moves we made. Last year we thought we were going to be around 500, if not better. This year I'm expecting us to be at least 500, and if we're not, then there's going to be a lot of big decisions to make. But thank you guys for watching. That's going to do it for this episode.